Over the course of the next 2 decades, 75 million Americans will retire. It's an exciting time. You've spent years looking forward to this new chapter in your life, and you deserve it to be all you dreamt it would be. But what's your retirement really going to look like? Webster's Dictionary defines retirement as to withdraw, to remove from circulation, to give up working or serving, usually because of advancing age. Does this sound like what you're going to do in retirement? If you're already retired, does that sound like the life you live? Of course not. So where did this way of thinking come from? For the longest time, we've considered the final chapter of our lives to begin around age 65, and we've equated the notion of retirement with old age. The 3 concepts of age, 65, old age, and retirement, have traditionally been bound together. In the 1880s, Otto von Bismarck, then Chancellor of Germany, created the first recognized pension plan in history. At that time, he set the marker of perceived old age at 65. Back then, this was the age at which people were considered too frail and feeble to fend for themselves, and therefore their pensions would provide the necessary support to sustain them. Of course, the average life expectancy in the 1880s was around 47, so very few people even enjoyed the pensions that were created for them. Today, we generally don't subscribe to this notion of 65 being the beginning of the end. In fact, boomers themselves are saying that old age doesn't even start to set in until around age 75 or 80. Just look around you. We see evidence every day that 65 is now an age at which people are living vibrant, full, active, engaged lives. And now, when people choose to retire, they do so for a host of reasons. Some head back to school to pursue a new degree. Some may start that business they've always dreamt of, not because of financial need, but because they've always wanted to explore a passion. Others may learn to play guitar or build a boat and take up sailing. While retirement used to signify withdrawing, becoming less active, and slowing down, it has now come to represent a vibrant, active third act to a long, full life. As late as the turn of the 20th century, the average life expectancy in the United States was right around 47 years. But in the ensuing 100 years, it has jumped to just under 77 years of age. That's a 30 years increase in 1 century alone. In fact, the biological potential of the human body is currently thought to be somewhere between 120 and 140 years. So the idea of how long we're living right now is great, but we haven't even really scratched the surface when it comes to longevity. So the good news is that people are living longer than ever before. This means that some will live 20, 30, even 40 years into retirement. The bad news is that many people really don't have a firm grasp on what it's going to take to survive and thrive financially throughout a long, active, and healthy retirement. Many questions arise.
Do I have enough to live the kind of lifestyle I've always dreamed of in retirement?
Doing whatever you want, whenever you want. Whether that means taking in entertainment on a regular basis, or being a member of a local country club, or traveling, or whatever your vision is, you may be asking yourself if that way of life is really within your reach.
Can I really do the things I've been dreaming of doing?
Going back to school, or starting up that new business, or maybe even picking up a new hobby. Whatever those specific dreams are, will your current plan allow for them?
Will I have to compromise or settle for less than I'd hoped for?
The idea of settling for something doesn't exactly sound like a vision of retirement that most hoped for. Regardless of the specific questions or uncertainties you might have, the bottom line is that you have some, and that's perfectly natural. When many people think about retirement, they approach it as though it's pretty straightforward, like being out on a lake. They envision the notion of retirement as a point out in the future that's clearly within their sight. Many people think if they'll just paddle along, a little to the left and a little to the right, and keep their eyes fixed on where they're headed, they'll eventually just wind up where they always intended to go. The truth is that, for many, the path to retirement isn't a quiet, serene lake at all. It's your life. In fact, it's often far more unpredictable and rocky, and unlike the straight shot across the lake, the destination isn't really clear at all. In situations like this, the most important person you can have around is a guide. Someone who's been in these waters before, and someone who knows what to expect. Someone who can help you decide which fork to take and help you steer away from danger before you're neck deep in it. Given recent volatility in the financial environment, even those who had a clear plan for their retirement futures are feeling the need to re-examine those plans. Properly preparing for retirement involves addressing many serious questions that most people feel ill-equipped to answer.
When can I comfortably retire?
What should we be doing with our retirement savings?
Will my money last as long as I do?
How much risk should we be taking?
There are several pieces of your financial puzzle that must fit together in order to help build the kind of security and peace of mind in retirement that you want and deserve.
One of our concerns as we got closer to retiring was whether or not we were really even in a position to, without having to make major adjustments in the way we live. We've saved for a long time, but neither of us had a way of really knowing if it was going to be enough.
Many feel that the greatest Ponzi scheme of all times is Social Security. And demographics, not the investment markets, will bring it crashing down if we don't face reality and create a fix. Individuals must not only face the reality of the Social Security dilemma, but they must also take actions in their planning process by discounting Social Security income and addressing the need to save and invest more of their current cash flow.
We thought we had our plan in place. We started planning for this several years ago. Then Wall Street just got plain ugly.
I think we're going to be fine, even with the recent market volatility. What I'm primarily concerned with now is how do we maximize what we're able to leave to our children and grandchildren?
Finding the appropriate individual to begin the process of legacy planning with a conversational and inquisitive approach is not only fundamental to the planning process, but it also assures that the process will more likely be completed with all parties on board at the end.
We're both in great shape and we plan on living for a long time. Just how are you supposed to build a comfortable income stream that will never go away, even if we live well into our 90s?
With the disappearance of the classical pension-driven retirement, the strains on Social Security, and the appearance of longer and longer lifespans, the need to recreate the benefits of lifetime income are essential to a sound retirement planning process. This has become the single most important reason for foresighted individuals to work with financial professionals who can offer meaningful solutions to those who wish to avoid the most significant fear of many Americans, the fear of outliving their assets or too much life at the end of the money.
One thing I remember about helping my parents with their finances late in their lives is how badly they got hammered with taxes. After Uncle Sam took his share, there wasn't nearly enough left. I want to make sure that doesn't happen to us.
Current deficit spending, whether you agree with its necessity or feel it's socialism, will have to be paid for by more than just economic growth. It will require taxes or inflation or both, and inflation is just another form of tax. Rising tax rates along with inflation will bring home the benefits of planning income sources which are tax-free, tax-advantaged, and which also have the capacity of keeping pace with inflation.
We were watching a really cool show the other night about mountain climbers. It was set in the Himalayas, and they had these people called Sherpas, who were the climbers' guides. These Sherpas were the most experienced climbers around, and the interesting thing was that they were more important to the climbers after they reached the peak than on their way up, because that's when more people actually die.
We're realizing that's a lot like us. We've spent years saving up for the day we retire, but we've never really thought about what happens after that. We're needing as much help down the mountain as we did on the way up. And that's what our financial professional does for us. Helps guide us down the retirement mountain.
Over the past several years, I've worked with hundreds of clients heading into retirement, and there are clearly several key issues you want to consider. What I do is help people build the kind of retirement they deserve. Everyone has to pay taxes, but together we can help minimize your liabilities. We build guaranteed income streams designed so that you cannot outlive them. And we order your affairs in a way we feel will properly leave a meaningful, lasting legacy to your loved ones.
Why waste your retirement fretting about financial matters? Why pay unnecessary taxes, lose your nest egg to the skyrocketing long-term care costs, or simply worry about outliving your savings? Take the guesswork out of your financial future and ensure you're on the road to the retirement you deserve. Don't wait another minute to make sure it's all you dreamt it would be. Call now